What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to ask the question if Kirby will be in Scream 6. I can't believe, because I was thinking of topics, and I was thinking I've never talked about it for Kirby, which is very odd to me that I just let this skip over, and we have to talk about it now, because once the casting happens, if they announce Hayden Panettiere has been cast in Scream 6, well, there we go. So we have to do it before. Hopefully casting comes out in the next month or two. I'd imagine, honestly, by May at the latest, we get casting for Scream 6. And I really think it's possible, if not very likely. Now, it's not necessarily, right, answering a question of, like, is it necessary? Do we need Kirby back in the next movie? Because I think, your opinion is valid, my opinion is valid, right? We're allowed to our opinions, and if we disagree, it's okay. I don't think it's unanimous of, like, wanting her back, but I do think it's, like, it leans more, like, yes, bring her back. Do you know what I mean? And I think it makes sense. I guess I'm trying to think about it in a different way, right? Like, it doesn't, there's really no harm in doing it. Does that make sense? I'm trying to think of, like, kind of the reverse of, well, yes, it makes sense. Because it's like, well, if you did a next movie and you brought her in, is anybody really going to complain that, like, they broke it, or, you know what I mean? Like, they're inserting her just to insert her. Maybe you could, like, maybe we can find an element of that once we get closer to the movie. But I would say, like, right now where we stand, you know what I mean? I don't really know if the argument could be made that it's like, oh, you're shoehorning her in, or there's no reason to have her. I feel like you could very easily give her a reason to be in it. I think really the worry with the character, and I'm sure this is something, by the way, we will talk about time and time again as we get closer to Scream 6, is I don't think people want her to be brought back to be killed, at least not immediately. And I would agree. I think that would be pretty disrespectful. I don't know if even Hayden Panettiere would do that, right? If she would want, well, we don't really know, right, how she views the character in that way, where it's like, well, would you want to come back? And, obviously you hear, like, the opening kill. I don't think it would, I don't think that would happen. But let's just say she's, like, one of the first couple deaths. It's like, well, is that tolerated? Would that be tolerable? Or, like, if you bring her in, are you expecting her to be somebody who lives the entire time? That's a tough one. I don't know why I think of it. Like, Ali Larter's character. I don't know who the character is. I don't pay attention enough. But in Final Destination, right? Isn't she in the first two, and then she dies at, like, the end of 2? She's one of, like the final deaths of 2. That would kind of maybe be a similar situation where it's, like, fan favorite, a character that's cool, bring her in again. She survived, and we learned that in 5, right? So she survived that stabbing. You bring her in, you can even have her, vocally say that out loud, right? Like, yeah, I survived it. I don't know, I wrote a book, or I'm a professor, whatever storyline you want her to have. And then if you want to keep her around the entire time, you can. If you want to kill her off, again, I think you're going to have people be, I think you would almost be writing yourself into a corner with that part, but just the general idea of bringing her back, I do think would excite people. But yeah, I think it's very possible. I mean, you had the whole situation going into this movie, right, where the directors, like, followed her on Instagram, she followed them, and that was a big thing where it's like, okay, well, are they going to do something, for that? Is she going to play in the role? I mean, they did the cameo, well, I wouldn't even say cameo, right? They did a picture to signify that she's still alive. Does that warrant the follow? Both of them have talked about how much they like Kirby. She's one of their favorite characters in the Scream franchise. I think it's possible. I really think it almost becomes a thing where if she wants to do it, and you can figure out even just a light way of bringing her back, right? And because we've talked about it, right? Sam and Tara most likely are on the road. They're somewhere else. They're at a college. I don't even know where else you could be. I guess it's college or Woodsboro. There is no in between, or Hollywood, right? That's it. No, but I mean, they could be anywhere, right? They could literally be anywhere. And so just, I think it's honestly very possible you could get Kirby back. You lit the fire in 5, and then I think as long as she wants to come back, and if you can find a place for her, I really don't see, again, why not. I don't know. I really like even like a Judy West thing. Now, like Judy, like what kind of role did Judy and Wes even play? Wes played the role of literally just, spoilers, dying just so you could do a party or, a celebration for Wes. That was the reason that Judy Hicks had a kid, which actually is a little, when you think about it like that, I don't know how much I like that, okay? And then you also have Judy, who was in the movie to be in the movie again for 5 minutes. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, you didn't, well, I guess you're in Woodsboro, so it would be really weird to not have Judy in it. But I guess I'm trying to make the point that you could very well bring back characters. You can. You really can. So I'm hoping for it. I really think, you know, obviously, like, there's the Stew Talk every other day on all of these different platforms, on YouTube, on Twitter, and all that stuff. But in reality, like, while that's a hope that some fans are always going to want, and, you know, there's obviously all those theories and whatnot, Kirby, I just think, is kind of like universally like, please, like, just put her in it. We all want her in it. Like, that's like, it's very simple. She's right there. You like her. She likes you. She survived. So there's really not a reason not to bring, you know what I mean? It's like, and also when you think about it, you think about the survivors for every Scream movie. Now, obviously, different time period, like different literally periods in time and different director and all that stuff. But you think about it, and it's like they always, like, they keep going. You know what I mean? So, like, in 1, Randy was one of the survivors, and he carries over to 2, but then he dies. Literally everybody dies pretty much in 2, right? And then you're just left with the core 3 again, and you go into 3, and it's pretty much, and then you have Kincaid, right? But then it's like, well, they established that, well, you didn't bring him back in 4, which was maybe a little weird, but now they kind of tied the knot there, and they said, okay, well, he ended up marrying Sydney, and they had kids, so, like, all good. You know what I mean? Like, that character kept going. You look at 4, Judy was a survivor, right? And she carries over, and then really nobody else except for Kirby. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, they normally continue on with, you know, with survivors, and in this movie, it would almost be like in this movie, right? How this movie ends, and then going into 6 and not having, well, it's not the exact same. I'm stretching the argument a little bit, but be like Chad, like, you know what? We don't need 2 of the twins. He went to Hawaii for like a 2-week vacation, and the Ghostface murder spree happened again with Mindy in the group. So we just lost Chad, and it's like, well, no, I mean, he survived, so he's in the next movie. Like, it's just like that. So I get it. It's a stretch because there was always the debate, well, is Kirby dead or alive? And I think a lot of people maybe settled on dead, and then the director settled on, no, she's alive. And now, you know, now there's like, okay, well, you can do something with her now. So I'm hoping, and we'll have to see. Again, I think that should be announced. Like, when they do the casting, if Hayden Panettiere is not in there, and that's another thing, right? I think that's even what they said for this movie. They didn't want to bring her back as a in-person cameo, like, for one scene, because that didn't seem like it was enough for her. They would have wanted to make her more, and they weren't going to do that, so they just had her be like the YouTube link, right? So they literally said that out loud. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, when they do the casting, if she's not in it, and people, and maybe even I make a video talking, like, can she be like a cameo, right? I think the answer would probably be no, because it's like, it's the same thing, right? If they don't announce her, if she's kind of like a hidden cast, right? If she's like not announced on the casting sheet, but then she's there for like a day and she films a scene, it'd be like the exact same thing as what they didn't want to do in this movie. You know what I mean? So it's like either they changed their mind or any of that stuff. So there's a good amount of stuff to look out for, I'd say, over the next couple months. But I want to hear from you guys, so let me know what you all think in the comments below. Make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on so you know all these videos go up. If you want to follow me anywhere else, all of my social media is in the description below, along with our Patreon and YouTube memberships. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next Scream video.